We need new ethics for AI agents. Source, archive, authors, Iason Gabriel, Jeff Keeling, Ariana Manzini, and James Evans. Executive summary: the paper We Need a New Ethics for a World of AI Agents argues that autonomous AI systems raise new ethical, legal, and social challenges. As agents act independently, risks include misaligned goals, lack of transparency, over-reliance, and unclear responsibility. The authors call for value alignment, accountability, respect for autonomy, and user well-being. They propose improved evaluations, guardrails, and regulatory frameworks to ensure agents are safe, trustworthy, and supportive of human flourishing. Article: the paper argues that as artificial intelligence systems become more agent-like, we need to rethink ethics, regulation, and design principles for them. The authors call for new frameworks to manage the risks, social consequences, and moral issues arising when AI agents are deployed at scale. Key concepts. Agent. In this context, an AI agent is a system that can perceive its environment, make decisions, and act toward goals relatively autonomously, without requiring human step-by-step instructions. Examples include AI assistants that browse the web, make purchases, or modify environments through expert-level code. Autonomy, independence, capability. These are features that distinguish agents from simpler tools. As agents become more capable, they introduce both opportunities, e.g., efficiency, economic value, creative assistance, and risks, mistakes, misuse, unintended consequences. Why this matters? Challenges and risks. The authors identify several ethical, legal, social, and psychological challenges associated with agentic AI. Some of the main ones. 1. Alignment problems and goal specification. Misspecified instructions can lead to undesirable outcomes. An AI might meet the literal goal but violate the spirit of what was intended. For example, exploiting loopholes or behaving in harmful ways not anticipated by designers. As agents gain real-world capabilities, search engines, email, code, etc., the consequences become more serious. For example, privacy breaches or deceptive behavior if agents misunderstand context. 2. Transparency, interpretability, and accountability. With more autonomous agents, it becomes harder to understand why they do what they do. The authors advocate for interpretability, understanding internal reasoning, action logging, guardrails, and ability to verify behavior. Also, designers must provide mechanisms for redress for when things go wrong. 3. Social agents and relationships. AI agents are not just tools. They increasingly act in roles that resemble social actors. People may form emotional attachments, rely on them, treat them like companions. Such relationships can lead to harm if the agents are misleading, over-promoted, or misrepresent their capabilities. Also, there's the risk of dependency, loss of autonomy, and psychological effects. 4. Legal and moral responsibility. If agents act in the world, who is responsible when something goes wrong? If an agent makes a damaging decision, is it the user, the developer, or someone else? Current legal frameworks are often unclear. There have been real cases already, a chatbot making an unintentional contract offer, etc. 5. Regulation and standards. Many areas remain ambiguous in law, what's allowed versus what's harmful. Some areas, for example health advice, are especially risky. The authors argue that laws and regulation must evolve to keep up. Also, there is a need for shared standards, safety certifications, incident reporting, etc. Proposed ethical principles/design ideas. The paper suggests several approaches and values that should guide the future design, use, and regulation of agentic AI. Value alignment. ensuring that agents act in accord with human values, not just literal user instructions, but deeper concerns like well-being, fairness, societal norms. This includes preference-based fine-tuning, i.e., learning from human preferences, and interpretability to detect problematic internal circuits or decision paths. Respect for autonomy. Users should retain meaningful control over the depth and intensity of their interactions with agents. Agents should not foster excessive dependence. Transparency in what the agent can and cannot do, what data it collects, how long it will persist, etc. Care and support for long-term flourishing. Agents should enhance people's lives over time, not just satisfy immediate preferences. They should integrate well with real human relationships rather than substitute for them. They should be sensitive to human emotional, social, and psychological well-being. Trustworthiness and honesty. Agents and their developers must be clear about limitations, about ownership of data, about lifespan of the agent, and about the kind of tasks the agent is allowed or permitted to perform. Also, developers should design safeguards, permission systems, oversight, etc. What the paper recommends? Next steps. To move toward an ethically safer, socially beneficial deployment of AI agents, the authors propose 3 major steps. 1. More meaningful evaluations. Instead of merely testing agents in static benchmark settings, we need dynamic, real-world tests. This could include sandboxes, where agents operate in controlled but realistic settings. Red teaming efforts, deliberately trying to provoke failure or misuse. Longitudinal studies, observing how users interact with agents over months or years to see impacts over time. 2. Improved ability to explain, verify, and contain behavior. As agents grow more capable, verification and safety mechanisms must keep up. Some suggestions: guardrails, systems to limit what agents are allowed to do, authorization protocols, requiring permission for certain risky actions, iterative deployment, deploying agents in safer, smaller scopes first, testing, then expanding. 3. Systems, norms, and regulation for multi-agent ecosystems. Since there will be many agents from different developers serving many users, we need social and institutional infrastructure, standards for interoperability, so that agents interact safely with each other and with human systems. Regulatory agents, official oversight, that monitor agent behavior, incident reporting, sharing lessons from failures, safety/certification schemes before deployment, strengths, implications, and open questions. Strengths. The paper draws attention to issues that aren't yet mainstream but are fast becoming urgent. As Agentic AI becomes more capable, so do the potential harms. It bridges multiple domains: ethics, law, technical design, social psychology. It offers practical suggestions, not just theory, for how to move forward, e.g., specific evaluation methods, standards, etc. Implications. If followed, organizations producing AI agents will need to invest more in safety, interpretability, user well-being, legal risk management. That may slow down some deployment, but could reduce long-term costs: legal, reputational, social. Regulators and policymakers will have to understand AI more deeply, how agentic systems work, what decisions they can make, where the risks lie. Users will need education about what agents can do, what the trade-offs are: privacy, autonomy, dependency. Transparent disclosures, control settings become more important. Open/hard questions. How to define well-being or flourishing in a way that is meaningful, universal enough, but also sensitive to different cultures and individuals. How to enforce accountability when harm occurs. If an agent from one developer interacts with systems from others, lines blur. How to regulate international, cross-jurisdictional agents. An agent might operate in many countries. laws differ. How to ensure that smaller developers or less resourced actors can compete safely, rather than being discouraged by high regulatory/safety compliance cost. Conclusion. The rise of AI agents poses a suite of moral, legal, social, and technical challenges that the existing ethical and regulatory frameworks are ill-prepared to handle. Gabriel, Keeling, Manzini, and Evans argue that now is the pivotal moment to shape the ethics around these agents. We need to build in alignment, transparency, accountability, care, respect for autonomy, and long-term flourishing, and that we need not just individual best practices, but societal infrastructure, evaluation regimes, oversight bodies, safety standards, and legal clarity. The choices made now, in design, regulation, industry norms, will deeply influence what kind of world we build with AI agents, a world where agents serve human interests, respect human dignity, and enrich human lives, rather than undermining them.